Hello everyone and welcome to another video. So, some time ago, when I was in Discord, I saw people that were considering what kind of team they want to use in Brilliant Diamond or Shining Pearl. And I thought to myself, okay, so what am I going to do? Because I remember Kevin, Diamond 12, he wanted his team written down as Torterra, Galarian, Mega Weavile, Rotom, Heat, and Floatzel. I mean, that's cool and all, yeah, but I figured, what kind of Pokemon would I use if I were to go play BDSP? Specifically Shining Pearl, because that's the version I'm going to go for. Honestly, I think that Rotom should probably be in either of these lists, but I decided not to. But, what am I going to do? Actually, hold on, I think I have enough space. I don't know, I don't. Anyway, so, before we, go with what Pokemon I want to put on the list. So here's the thing, right? I want to know, first of all, what's in the BDSP Dex. Because it's entirely possible that the Pokédex would differ than what you'd expect. Here's what I mean. So, I think baseline, we should expect the Platinum Pokédex, not the Diamond and Pearl Pokédex. And that's entirely because, there are lots of trailers and screenshots that show that no, we're not going to have just 2 Fire-type Pokemon. There's going to be more. We've already confirmed the Houndour line. We've already confirmed the Numel line. Now I'm going to talk about the Numel line later, but there's going to be a lot more Fire types. So we're going to baseline Platinum Dex. But also, it's entirely possible that we're going to get more than just the Platinum Dex. You'll know what I mean when we get there. Second thing I want to mention is that regardless of what kind of conditions I think the Pokédex might go, there are 2 Pokemon in particular that I will get no matter what. And the first one is Manaphy. And the reason why is because, hey, if the game's giving you a free Manaphy egg at some point if you purchase and start playing the game early, then you get a Manaphy egg, and then you actually use Manaphy. So, I was thinking to myself, okay, if the game's going to give me an opportunity to get a Pokemon I know I'm not going to use in-game ever again, then I might as well go pick it now. That being said, this comes at a detriment of not being able to use other certain Water-type Pokemon. Like, Luminion's out of the question, Floatzel's out of the question, Tentacruel's out of the option, Milotic's out of the question. Heck, even Empoleon is out of the question. But, not like it really matters for Empoleon's sake, I'll tell you why later. And the second Pokemon that I want to pick is Gengar. And the reason for that is, for some reason, I've noticed this, just before, started writing down what team I would make, that I never used the Ghastly line. Not in-game, not online. And given it's a Gen 1 Pokemon, it's kind of surprising that I've never, in my life, have used the Ghastly line to any extent, which is kind of weird. So I'm going to make up for that by using the Ghastly line now in Shining Pearl. Okay, so that's 2 down. So, the remaining team members will also be Pokemon I've never used in-game before. And for those who know me and how I make my Pokemon teams in-game, is that whenever I revisit the region, I tend to use Pokemon that I've never used. Heck, in a way, it kind of also applies to new Pokemon game when I enter a new generation. I try to use Pokemon I never used, either Pokemon that are introduced into that generation, or Pokemon not from that generation, but I've otherwise never used. And even with surprise encounters like, oh, I don't know, a shiny Pancham and Sword, this also applies, like I never used Pangoro prior to Sword, so that thing still applies. So, with that in mind, let's get right on to what teams I'm going to make. Now, in all of my Sinnoh playthroughs, I have used Empoleon. I've used Piplup and used Empoleon, with no real exceptions. Now, it's highly possible I may have used Turtwig, in like a Diamond playthrough that I've had prior to my brother selling it, or just giving away. I forget what. I think it was brother giving away. But I do not remember anything about it. So I may have played it. I may have chosen Turtwig, but I do not remember fully doing so. So for the purposes of making this team, I'm gonna assume that I've never used the Turtwig line. So that's 2 starters that I've never used. So that, of course, that leaves the door open for using 1 or 2 of the Turtwig or Chimchar lines. I'm planning to not use both, even though I, in theory, could, but I choose not to in this case. It doesn't really help that will require me to figure out how to start trading with other people, like, early on, and then, like, give the person, like, the starter until I be able to just restart the file, and then, get the starter I want, and then ask to trade back. It's going to take a while. Especially because I only have one Switch, and Pokemon Home connectivity is not going to be, like, immediate. And because Pokemon Home connectivity is not immediate when you start Diamond and Pearl, or Shining BDSP, that means I can't pour in all the shiny Pokemon that I could put into Shining Pearl. For example, I have 2 shiny Camerupt, I can't use that. I have a shiny Perugly, I can't use that, not even I really want to, because I don't want to, use up the shiny decks. Anyway, so let's just go figure out what exactly do I want in a team. Now, there are 2 categories, specifically, of what I think might happen. So, I have the team specify like whether or not it's going to be just a baseline plat dex. That being that if the Pokédex for Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl is exactly the Platinum Dex, no more, no less, or will it incorporate Pokemon that aren't originally in the Plat Dex but are still available in Sinnoh to some extent, like for example via Poke Radar or via the post-game areas, or even via Swarms. And the second category, is whether or not HMs will come back. Because BDSP is the first remake of a game in which what is remaking had HMs, but the generation it's remade in does not. So, this may prove... And it's already confirmed that stuff like Rock Climb's already in the game, but we don't know whether or not we have to use HMs, or will be incorporated as some different thing, kind of like what the bike does in Sword and Shield, or what the starter Pokemon does in Let's Go, or what the ride Pokemon do in Alola. We don't know that yet. So I made separate teams in the 4 slots of if it's going to be the baseline Platinum Dex with HMs, if it's a baseline Plat Dex with no HMs, if there's going to be a lot more Pokemon, the expanded Dex, as I like to call it, with HMs, or an expanded Dex without HMs, which is like the best case scenario. I even added a couple of options if regional forms may or may not be allowed. So, here's what my guess is. So now, this is just, again, a suggestion for myself, what Pokemon I should put for a Shining Pearl team. It's entirely possible that I could find something else, like, that I might like more. Like, say, if I find a random shiny Pokemon I've already used before, I will still use that shiny. But, my advice can just keep going. So, regardless, I'm going to pick Manaphy and Gengar for the first 2 slots. Now, in all scenarios, instead of what most people do and make a starter and then base the entire team around the starter, I'm doing the opposite. I'm basing the starter out of the rest of the team. So let's begin. The Flyer. So this is probably the hardest part of the team. Who to choose for the Flyer? And the reason for that is that I've already used up almost every Flyer available in-game in some capacity. Meaning, I've already used Staraptor, I've already used Drifblim, I've already used Flygon, I don't think I've used Pelipper yet, but I'm not sure if I want to. So I've used up every popular needs to find Flyer that's available in Sinnoh. So I decided for the Flyer slot to be Tropius, because Tropius is available in the Platinum Dex. And Tropius, from what I checked, is available in Platinum in the Great Marsh, which, if assuming that BDSP will follow Diamond and Pearl's gym order, was actually a perfect time to have a Flyer. because you can have access to Fly and the Fly HM are both in Veilstone. You don't really need it until you get to the Great Marsh. So I think it's fine if Tropius can be used as the flyer, because it's not too far along than when you actually need to use Fly. So, and because I'm using Tropius in this restricted scenario, I already have a grass type. And because I already have a grass type, the starter will be Infernape. And as much as I kind of don't like Infernape is pretty dang strong and can completely murder, like, it already murders, like, the first 2 gens by itself. It deals with Lucario very easily in the 3rd gym. 4th gym, not so much. No, 4th gym, which is Wake in this case, or is it Fantina 4th? And I'm pretty sure it's, like, Wake Forest. Anyway, either way, and, like, Fantina is kind of okay, but it might not be good, because fighting type. But, not much else. So, and with that, I'm going to need some Pokemon to deal with HMs. So I'm thinking, even though, yes, I do have Mana for Surf, I have Infernape whenever I need to Rock Smash or whatever, what about something like Strength or something? And heck, I haven't had a tank yet. I kind of want to have a tank for Sinnoh. And what Pokemon have used here? Then Bastiodon. Yes, I'm choosing Bastiodon, because I have never used it in-game before, so and I've used Rampardos in-game before, even though that's for a randomizer, I'm still counting as such, so Bastiodon. So, kind of have a tank on this team. I just feel like I just like, first of all, I like Bastiodon, but I never used it in-game before. And heck, I don't think I've used it online either. But, now you might be wondering, wait a minute, Infernape, Bastiodon, and Gengar are all 3 weak to ground. What's going on here? And for those who don't remember, in later gens, Gengar no longer has Levitated, it has Cursed Body. So, yeah, half my team is going to be weak to that one big threat in the entire region, and its best move. So, and yes, I do have Tropius to deal with, type problems, but it's entirely possible that certain threat may carry a fire move. So I'm going to need a general purpose, like, Sponge, or general purpose, like, big, maybe fast, maybe tanky Pokemon. So what would I put for the 6th slot in this case? I was thinking, how about I put Purugly in here? Like, I think Purugly, and then maybe some part through, the region, swap Purugly for Snorlax. So I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to keep Purugly in this playthrough or switch it for Snorlax. I want to, because I'm probably going to need some cut usage, maybe, perhaps, or maybe have someone that can use cut and maybe not need to use cut any time else. But I think I think Glamour is used like right around where you do use cut anyway. So I made Purugly for cut usage. But I do kind of want to use Purugly anyway, because again, who uses Purugly? And who knows, maybe I might use Snorlax in a different playthrough. Like if I want to replay like Y or something, then I have Snorlax right there available. So there's a potential team for a game that only has the Plat Dex to start with and has HMs. Will be Infernape, Manaphy, Gengar, Bastiodon, Tropius, and either Purugly or Snorlax. I have not decided on which of the two, but I'm probably going to lean a bit towards Snorlax. So, but what if for some reason, some really good reason, that BDSP do not have HMs, even though HMs are available, but they are available through other ways, so you don't have to waste a slot on HMs. I was thinking here, if I don't have to worry about HMs, then I don't have to worry about Fly, which means I don't have to worry about Tropius, which means I could probably swap Tropius with a Pokemon I actually want to use, which is a flying type Pokemon that cannot learn Fly, that being Vespiquen. I want to use Vespiquen in a playthrough. I actually do want to use Vespiquen in a playthrough. Actually, almost did with X, because I did have access to Vespiquen early on, but I decided not to, because I just want my team to be mostly Psychic types. It's like half the team Psychic type. I've decided, you know what, I kind of want to use Vespiquen, Because here's the thing, even though getting Vespiquen in Pearl is really hard, not as hard as getting Snorlax, but it's pretty hard. But if the trailer suggests that the underground's gonna make Munchlax easier to find, then surely a female Combi would be just as easy, if not easier, to find. So I was thinking I'd probably use Vespiquen instead of Tropius if I don't have to worry about Fly. And because I don't have to worry about Fly anymore, I can choose Torterra if I wanted to. So, and because Vespiquen does have good defenses on its own, I don't have to worry about Bastiodon in this whole double weak to ground thing. So, I could probably swap Bastiodon for a different Pokemon. So, like, maybe I could, if I choose Torterra in this playthrough, then I could probably add Magmortar. Because, again, if it's going to be Platinum Dex and Magmortar is available, might as well add Magmortar again. However, if I still choose Infernape in this scenario, then I'm going to go with Leafeon. Because Leafeon is still one of the few evolutions that I've never used in game to any extent. I mean, I have used it online once, but I've never used it in game. I have used used Flareon, I have used Espeon and Umbreon, mostly due to Colosseum, and I have used Glaceon once. I think that's also in Sinnoh. And I don't remember using Sylveon at all, but the thing is, I'm very not sure if Sylveon's even going to be available. If we're doing just base Platinum decks, I mean, Sylveon should not exist. So that's just assuming Sylveon does not exist. Anyway, so what about the last slot, the slot that I had Snorlax in? If I don't have to worry about, I feel like because Leafeon and Magmortar can take some hits, like they're okay with hits. I was thinking, how about instead of Snorlax or Purugly, how about that Porygon-Z? Because if the first trailer of the game already shows Porygon-Z, let's use Porygon-Z. And even though I have used Porygon before in a playthrough, which is one of my earliest playthroughs ever, I never used Porygon 2 nor Z because that was from the Gen 1 game. So I decided, you know what, how about Porygon-Z if it's available? Plus, if I'm going to trade for Gengar anyway, might as well do some more trade evolutions for Porygon-Z. But again, that depends entirely on how available the upgrade and the dubious disc are. Because it's entirely possible that the upgrade could be available, but not the dubious disc. Or it's entirely weirdly possible if dubious disc is available, but not the upgrade. That'd be really weird that happens. But this is assuming that both the upgrade and the dubious disc are available prior to the end of the game. Okay, just again, assumptions here. They could change. Like if it's known that the dubious disc will not be available before beating the game, then I'll swap Porygon. Heck, I'll probably keep Porygon 2 because it's a good offensive mod. Or swap it out for Porygon or Snorlax. Okay, that's option 2. So option 3 would be, what if, like, every Pokemon that's currently available in Sinnoh for any extent whatsoever is available in the base dex of BDSP, meaning that every Swarm option is available, every Pokéradar option is available, and every Pokemon that is available in the Battle Zone, which is a post-game area, is available in the base BDSP dex. And I'm saying that latter part specifically is because we've already seen screenshots of Numel, and Numel is not in the Platinum dex. It's in the post game. So does this mean that screenshot is taken from post game, or is Numel available prior to the end of the game, meaning that the Pokédex will be expanded to include stuff like Numel? With that in mind, the third slot technically would actually be a Pokemon that I don't think we're going to be in the base dex anyway, and that's because of how this mechanic works. But if every fossil is available prior to the end of the game, then I want to replace the Flyer Tropius with Aerodactyl, because I never used Aerodactyl in game. I don't think I ever used Aerodactyl. I have used Aerodactyl in like the Colosseum Extras series, but I don't count that because I was already post-game when I already did that team. So I'm not counting it. So, I was thinking, let's put Aerodactyl because I'm probably not going to use it. However, because the thing is, like, due to how the fossils work, only Shieldon's fossils available in Shining Pearl early game, and the rest are available post game. So that's why I'm not entirely sure if Aerodactyl will be even available in the base game of BDSP, because of, I believe that they're going to preserve that part of the underground intact. So again, that's a big if Aerodactyl is available like before the post game, then if I were to choose any of the starters, the starter option will be the same. If I choose Torterra, then the fire will be Magmortar. If I choose Infinite, then grass will be Leafeon. And then have the last level be Snorlax, specifically. Because at that point, don't have a real tank. I mean, yes, I do have Leafeon that probably has a defense against, Garchomp. But again, possible fire move, possible Oko. So, again, a general tank like Snorlax. Now, what happens if we both get like a more expanded Pokédex in the base game, and HMs are no longer an issue? Then, I'm gonna put let's swap the possible flyer with Vespiquen. However, let's add a Pokemon that's available through Pokeradar. Hitmontop! I never used Hitmontop before, and I am curious to see like how it works, and plus getting Hitmontop in general is really hard. So I kind of want to get Hitmontop. And probably I should try to get Hitmontop, but because like I never used Hitmontop before, I probably could if I replay Coliseum, but I kind of want to try to get Hitmontop and like legitimately in game, like before before post game, in some game. And Johto's not going to help because holy crap, getting Tyro is going to be a pain, and you probably already have something better than Hitmontop at that point. But then, that's assuming the Pokeradar is available really quickly, because if Pokeradar is available, like, really quickly, then it'll be very easy to get a Tyro. Because it actually shows up in, like, the one route above Orberg City that you need, like, a bike to actually get up the slope. And for why not, let's have the other two be, kind of want Torterra specifically, because I actually like Torterra more than Infernape. And then have the last slot be Bronzong with Levitate, so I could easily deal with possible Garchomp problems. Plus, Bronzong is a really good tank on its own due to its typing and its ability to Levitate. Okay, that's pretty much it for this video, but this is a huge but, and I don't think this is going to be a thing. What if just like Let's Go, that all like regional forms are allowed? So I think, what if somewhere prior to beating the game, you are allowed to use, similar to Let's Go, trades that allow the regional forms of Pokemon that are available in Sinnoh. In that case, I really want to use Galarian Rapidash in something. I probably could have used it in like the second file of Sword, but I kind of do want to use Galarian Rapidash. Because if I use Gardevoir way too many times, kind of use a Pokemon that's a similar typing. Plus, I don't know if you already noticed, but I haven't added a single Fairy type to this entire list of Pokemon I want. Also, for the most part, avoid Ice. So, again, it's going to be a problem for later on. So, if BDSP allows 4 alternate forms parting in the game, I want Galarian Rapidash somewhere on this team. And again, if an more expanded Pokédex is allowed, I also want to use Alolan Sandslash. Even though it would be weak to ground, but Alolan Sandslash has really good defense. So it could withstand one Earthquake. But again, fire moves may be a problem. And so that's pretty much it for this video. What do you think of the team that I've just come up with? Because I want to use Pokemon I've never used before, and I've already used all the good Pokemon to some extent. So, and this BDSP is going to make some things easier. Might as well take advantage of those easy methods. well, again, let's go see what happens. Maybe later down the line we'll know more about what's available and what and how. But if anything happens, then of course I can just change the team however I want. But that's just a kind of a suggestion based on what we know about BDSP. So anyway, that is all. See you guys later for next video.